Hello guys, my name is Amit Saini and I welcome you in this Daily Hindu analysis video in the morning. These videos come in the evening, the MCQ lessons they come. Important issues, developments, articles we discuss every day in the morning, and I'm trying to cover all the important issues in the newspaper. So there are different ways of explaining the newspaper. Sometimes we take a certain issue and we discuss that in many minutes, but here in my way I'm trying to get the details of the important facts there, the related issues with that, and the connection with the exam topic, and then I discuss these articles in much detail because the editorials are the most important issues. They give you the context, they give you the details there. So both for prelims and mains they are important. So points you can make there out of that explanation, and issues in their real terms I tell you there, because the originality will fetch you marks. The points should be your own, just the explanation is available here. Now paid content is available at 159 rupees per month, and Pocket News app is trending on Google Play. Regarding these courses, the description is given below the video. You can call on these two numbers. Any issue if you face regarding the payments, regarding the courses, then you can call here. You will get all the solution there. Now the PDF you will get here. The Telegram channel's link is given on this Facebook group, so send me a request there, I would approve that, and the PDF you will get there. You can follow me on Instagram too. Some words that I found today, use them into sentences. And a horrible picture from Delhi, capital of the country, a progressive country, many international claims, many developments are happening. Economically we are taking strides there, but you see, if we talk about a country, then the first basic need is the healthy population of it. But you see the air we are breathing, whose mistake is that? It is all the mistake of priorities. In India, maximum number of works they are done out of some political pressure. But is there any debate, any political pressure, any collective agenda, any protest regarding this this issue? No, it is not there. So again and again these things they trouble us. In the monsoon time the dengue is there, in the winters swine flu is there, and with the starting of winters the horrible air around us, especially in the northern regions of this country and especially the capital region. This bad atmosphere, the air we are breathing, this is around us. So everything gets politicized in this country, and parties start gaining currency on these issues. They will put blames, a lot of blames, and you see, you will be shocked to know, in this city I have seen posters that they are calling for protests against a certain government there. They did not do anything when some people they were having power, authority, but they certainly want to protest against some government there. So these are the examples that what kind of priorities we have. We have the priorities on all the nonsensical issues, on the Mandir Masjid issue, on the politics issues, and we discuss everything which is less important, but we do not discuss environment, we do not discuss unemployment, we do not discuss economy there, we do not discuss the developmental aspects there, the problematic urbanization which is happening in this country, the most polluted cities condition, the hygiene. We never discuss these things, and that's why in these elections a lot of money is wasted, and it is all a show of power and money, and never these issues are putting up pressure on the parties. Otherwise they will get a solution for that, because if the votes are taken on these developmental issues, then this country will be a far better country. But people do not understand these issues, they do not take these things on priority. Everyone is struggling, but they do not come collectively on these issues. They are ready to die for some religion, politics, Mandir Masjid, but they do not care about those problems. That's why it is the issue of priorities. Nobody is putting pressure on the media houses who are just discussing Pakistan, Imran Khan, Kashmir, and Mandir Masjid, Ayodhya, Ram Mandir. They are just making the people emotional on some issues which are certainly less important than these things, because here we do not need infiltrators, we do not need the terrorists to kill us. This air will kill us, and it will kill lakhs of people. Today you see the kids, the older people, the young ones in their 20s, they are developing lung cancers. So this is happening in front of our eyes, but we have signed our death certificate there that we will not do anything, and we will not put any pressure on these media houses or on the political parties that do something for us. And it looks like we are totally helpless. We cannot do anything. This is the problem of fund. They cannot support these farmers around this city in western UP, in Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan. They are helpless because they do not have any other way. Technologies are possible, but the research is not funded there, and they do not want to give any financial support to adopt those technologies where they will not have to burn that stubble. So we have thousands of crores of rupees for some statues, but we do not have any fund for these technology and these researchers. So that's the issue of priority, and priority is something that is totally lost in this country with these educated populations, and experts are talking about these things regularly, but from where the pressure will come? Pressure will come from these media houses, from the collective movements of the people, civil society groups, NGOs. They all will put collective pressures on the parties, and then they will do something on that issue. But people are divided and their priorities are misplaced. That seems like that. So a very important topic for mains. Many important issues you can collect from there, and many articles will come on this issue for sure. Every year we have articles on this issue, but no major development we see there. And whatever steps which are being taken, they are heavily politicized. Next issue, India Uzbekistan Inc. 3 defense deals. You see, yesterday I asked you a question, and as I told you that the next heads of the government's meeting for SCO that will happen in India, and the 19th one is going on in Uzbekistan, Tashkent. So there we signed 3 important defense deals, and one important issue is the Dust Leak 2019. It's a India Uzbekistan joint exercise. Okay, it is the first one which is going to happen, and other high level meetings were there. Important MOUs we have signed there, institution to institution MOUs on training and capacity, and for higher military trainings for these countries, military officials and the soldiers there. So military education and training, that was the major focus of it. So India Uzbekistan, first time in last 15 years India's defense minister is visiting Uzbekistan there. So this country is important. We are partners in SCO. 8 members are there in SCO, Uzbekistan and India among them. Okay, so that's important. Issue for GS paper 2. Next, the RCEP talks. RCEP, the talks started in 2012. Since then, a lot of discussions are taking place, and in that phase, the 2015 climate issue was the main highlight there in 2015. And after that, the word is a different word. We all have our responsibilities, our own sustainable plans, you may say. In these contexts, the RCEP, the biggest free trade agreement, and mainly it is sponsored by China there, because ASEAN's 10 countries plus 6 countries. In these 6 countries, China, South Korea, Japan, India, Australia and New Zealand, they are there. So important countries, Asian countries, and the biggest free trade agreement. When it will be signed, then what thing will be important? Important will be the conditions that we want to put there. For India, things are very complex. We are a developing nation. Our agriculture is going through a crisis, and we need to take care about the domestic issues. Domestic issues are problematic, but our claims on international platforms, they are very much idealistic, you may say. So we want to fulfill those claims, those promises there, but they are sometimes in contradiction to domestic demands. So that's why there is a complex issue. In this RCEP, when Prime Minister Modi ji is meeting with leaders in Bangkok there, so we are about to sign this RCEP, and in this free trade agreement, when we will sign it, then if we do not put our conditions there, then farmers in India, they are saying that it will be devastating for us because the commodities free flow will be there, and it will be devastating for Indian agricultural commodities especially. So we have to put our conditions there. Otherwise, a straight free trade agreement will not be good for India's agriculture sector. But here, at the same place, the Indian industry, especially the CII, Confederation of Indian Industry, so they are backing this plan, and they are saying that we should go ahead, because industries, they have their own perspectives, they have their own plans, and they have their own unique ways. They will have a broader area to serve. Supply chain will be huge, and the supply area will be very, very huge if all these countries are connected, and the trade barriers will not be there. So the exporters are very happy over that. But when these things which are cheaper in other countries, they can be dumped here very easily after the FTA there, because the trade barriers will not be there. Just like if you take the example of Chinese steel, in 2012, 13, 14, a lot of Chinese steel was dumped here in India. Why? Because that was very cheap, and India's manufactured steel was very expensive in comparison. So it was dumped very heavily. So the Indian steel industries, they were devastated. So we had to put a anti-dumping duty there on the Chinese steel. So these kind of things will be a major problem after the signing of FTA without any specific condition. So that's why India is in this great dilemma there, that agriculture sector is demanding something else, industry is demanding something else. And here these nations in this RCEP dealing, 16 nations are there, and most of them, they are putting a lot of pressure on India that please go ahead. We are waiting for a long time now, and it's been 7 years when these negotiations started, and we are about to close this deal. So after 2020, it is going to be a totally new phase if you talk about regionally in the Asia region and globally also. Sustainable technology, sustainable businesses are the need of the hour, and a globalized network is also something we need. So it's a huge management, it's a very complex management that we need to do here. So we have to see how it goes. Many articles will come on this issue. It's one of the most important issues for Indian economy and our engagement regionally in these groups and initiatives. So RCEP is a huge thing, and for now we have to wait there and watch that what conditions India will put there, because on the first day Modi ji did not talk about the RCEP issue, and they just met with all these leaders, and now they are hoping that it will go on. Next articles will come. Next important issue, Dhanush. It's a 155 mm Taud howitzer gun. It is gonna be inducted by Army in March 2020. Since 70s these talks are going on. In 80s the Bofors issue happened, the major corruption issue that happened, and after that the procurement could not be possible. So since then we are trying to develop these howitzer guns there, and this 155 mm is the important development there, because the existing ones are the 105 mm artillery guns. So we wanted to replace that. So many other models we are comparing, and we are trying to develop our own indigenous model. Now OFB, Ordnance Factory Board, has developed this Dhanush indigenously upgraded variant of Swedish Bofors gun, and it is going to be inducted in Army by March 2020. First 18 guns will be placed in March 2020. Next 36 will come in 2021, and the other 40 will come in March 2022. So it will take around 3 years from now on, and they will be inducted. 114 guns in total will be completed by 2022. So this was a major deal by Indian Army, and it was developed by Ordnance Factory Board. So it's a indigenously developed variant of Swedish Bofors gun, that you must remember. Okay, it was shown in Defense Expo 2018 also, and it can be mounted on 8x8 Tatra trucks. So that's also an important detail. Tatra trucks are huge trucks, and on them these guns, they can be installed. So they will be mobile also, and it's a important development in this variant. So this is something we needed very badly in these times, because challenges are mounting, and our existing technologies are becoming very obsolete with a very fast pace. So that's why it's important. And typically it has already taken decades, as the Tejas did, and now this Howitzer Dhanush that did. Now it will be inducted hopefully in March 2020. So that's important for GS paper 2 and 3 both. Next, ISRO's Navik, navigation through Indian constellation. We have a constellation, artificial constellation of 8 satellites of our own, and those are working. We have our own Navik system like the GPS of America. That's a global deal. This Navik will be centered on Indian subcontinent and the area of 1500 kilometer radius around it. So that will be covered. Now it's all working, and we have been talking about it since 2015, I guess. Now the Antrix Corporation, that is the marketing arm of ISRO, that will be commercializing this Navik issue, and it will start earning for ISRO, because the location based services it can give very easily, and it's an advanced one. It's more reliable because it is indigenous and it is of our own. So military is heavily supported there, but the commercial application is very, very important. Some specific areas like mining, transportation sectors, they need vehicle tracking applications, and that are tied to revenue sharing systems of the government. So there also this technology of Navik is going to be very, very crucial. So Antrix is going to make that possible. So that's important. And you see, for these boats and all, we have many issues with Sri Lanka. All these fishermen, they are caught by Sri Lankan authorities many times. So in all these issues, Navik will be very important. And one more issue is there, like the certification, which is very crucial. This is another important development for Navik. That certification it has sought there by 3GPP. 3GPP is the third generation partnership project. It's a global body for coordinating mobile telephony standards. So that has also given a certificate there. So this is also important there. Okay, and all these specifications will be available in March 2020. And the Telecommunications Standards Development Society, which is there in India, has said it would adopt them as national standard. Whatever will be the suggestions by 3GPP. So that will be our national standard there. So that's an important development for GS paper 3 and 2. The details are given here for Antrix Corporation Limited. It was a private entity, but in September 1992, we make it a wholly government owned entity under Department of Space. Department of Space comes under directly PMO, not under any ministry, directly under PMO. So that's important, and it's a marketing arm of ISRO. Next, world's biggest listing, an IPO which is going to be floated by Saudi Aramco, the same entity which was attacked a few weeks ago. So the same body is gonna come up with the IPO, initial public offer. Initial public offers are the first time listing of the company shares. Like if I run a company and I have 100% stakes with me, and I think that 40% of the stakes I should collect that amount from shares, and I will issue shares for this 40% stake. So suppose 40 shares I release there, then the public will buy these shares, and the 40% money in that business, that will be coming from the people. Okay, so that's the issue of IPO, because I'm bringing this offer for the first time. So more established a company I am, more acceptance will be there. Like the IRCTC came for a IPO a few years back. Coal India Limited, that came with the IPO. So they earned a lot of investment there, because those were very much established companies. So the trust factor is huge. Now Saudi Aramco is going for IPO globally, and that's important. Saudi Arabia is going through a lot of transitions, and the global oil politics is also going through a lot of transitions, and these Gulf countries, they do not see a bright future in this crude oil processing there. So that's why they are shifting in many businesses. They have huge investment capacities, and Saudi Aramco and other bodies, they are investing in India also. So this is in line with all these things. Okay. So the line sums up all. The kingdom seeks to diversify its economy away from oil, and mainly they are doing investments in many businesses global. Okay, so that's important. Next, this is something not there for discussion, but you should go through this interview. Sandra Malin is the Senior Vice President of Vital Strategies, and she's talking about the e-cigarettes issue, how other countries are regulating and banning e-cigarettes. We have already banned these e-cigarettes there, and the ENDS system, electronic nicotine delivery system. So that was something huge. The regular cigarettes are not banned. Governments, they earn a lot with the taxes and all, so those are not banned, but e-cigarettes certainly are. So it's an important issue, it's a new issue. Young generation is at stake, and for that concern, this issue is very, very important. So you should go through this interview. Many points you can collect there. Okay, they are talking about the disease and the issue of nicotine and tobacco there. Next, a new law. It's a concerning situation where in last 14 years, first time, September 19 showed a negative 5.2% growth in 8 core industries. You see, refinery products, electricity, steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement and fertilizers. They are the 8 core industries. Their share in the industrial output is around 40%. So their progress is a huge impact bearing issue in economy. Coal saw a minus 20.5% growth, means negative growth. So that's really a huge concern. This condition should not have been there, but this is in front of us. But are we sincere about that? No. Are we discussing this issue anywhere? No, we are not discussing. Are we putting enough political pressure there through these debates? No. That's why it's a huge concern. We are not discussing unemployment, which is totally related there. If the growth is not happening, already we are struggling with the highest ever unemployment rates, then what is going to be our future? We have to see there. These things are totally visible and these are in front of us, but we are not very much concerned about that. It looks like that. So minus 20.5% growth in coal sector, and minus 6.7% in the refinery products, and overall is minus 5.2%. That's really concerning. Only the fertilizer sectors, they are showing plus 5.4% growth, but others are totally negative there, and even minus 20.5% in coal sector, the basic sector for electricity generation there. So that's why it's a huge concern. Next, it is a repeated issue, Pegasus Misadventure. Only they are giving the names of some targets there in India, like Nihal Singh Rathod, a lawyer, Anand Teltumbade, a academic, Dalit activist Vivek Sundara, Jagdish Meshram, a human rights lawyer. So these are the people who belong to a specific category, whom the media target as some urban Naxalite, some Tukre gang. They are the critique of the government, and certainly they are targeted. And now the issue is that their security was burst, and their phones, they were snooped. So who is the beneficiary there? There are many links. If we connect them, then there is a picture in front of us. NSO products are used exclusively by government intelligence and law enforcement agencies to fight crime and terror. First link. Second link, it's a huge security concern. It is not only a privacy concern, it's a huge security concern. So who is the most responsible one for that? That is the government there. And they are the targets already in a particular way in our country, in the social media, in the popular media. They are certainly targeted there. And one more link is there. Some people were connected to the Bhima Koregaon incident. Okay, so these things tell about a picture there. And WhatsApp said that we had given information to CERT in the Computer Emergency Response Team, which is a government agency. So government should say something about this issue. They have not clarified this whole concern, and till date they have not said that the government agencies were never involved in that, and they just said that highest level of inquiry will be done there, and this issue has become totally political, as the issue came today that Priyanka Gandhi's phone was also snooped and something like that. So that's a different issue. That's a politics issue in a all different way. But here these activists, these lawyers and these journalists, their privacy was at stake. So it is telling about a lot of suspicions there. So that's why it is the ultimate responsibility of the government that they clarify this issue as early as possible, and they cannot get away with that because it's an international issue. International companies, organizations are involved in that, and there is no possible issue of management of those entities. So that's why it's a huge risk. So whoever is the culprit, that should be out, and there are huge consequences of this problem, because the snooping, the surveillance, these kind of things are never allowed in a democracy. If the security concerns are there, then these things are very, very rare. But here, these specific category of the people that is targeted, that's why huge suspicions are there. And these things are only a feature of a autocracy, and this is not a tyrannous state. We are a vibrant democracy, so these things cannot be allowed. So that is the reason that it's a huge responsibility of the government authorities now that they clarify this issue, and highest level of probe is there, and whoever is the culprit, whoever is that much rich or powerful who can apply these technologies, that should be out in all open. So this is all an important for GS paper 2 and 3 both. And when we write an essay about the privacy issue, then this topic is making a important context and a great example to explain there. Okay, next article regarding the Nagaland issue. They were demanding separate flag and constitution. So that was the problem for the Indian government, because we cannot allow these things. We are dealing with the most sensitive issue of Kashmir, the 370 issue, and they have been declared as union territories now. There is no separate constitution for Kashmir. There is no separate administration there. Now these will be union territories. So these northeast states, which have a terrible past, many separatist tendencies were there, bloody struggles were there, many fierce tribes are there, and the Nagaland issue is really sensitive. They have a certain history. They were bitter rivals of each other tribal groups in the past. Like when the Britishers came, before that they were the headhunters, means they used to kill the members of other tribal groups. So there was no issue of any consensus or any friendship there. They all were enemies there. But when the Britishers came and they deployed all these people into British corps there, after that, this sense of being a Naga entity, that was something established in their mind. So when they came back from these British corps, then they formed a Naga club there. So it all started after World War I. So it is not older than 1 century that this Naga concept came afloat. And when India got its independence, after that they started opposing the Indian establishment there, and they demanded a separate sovereign state there. So these kind of things were really problematic, because we wanted to remain as a united country, and because of their traditions, customs and their uniqueness, they demanded a lot of sovereignty that we could not give them. So some accords, some agreements were there, and anyhow we accommodated them, and special provisions were put up there according to Article 371. So these were union territories, now they are states there, and various tribes are there. If you talk about the Naga entity, then fierce tribes are there. They came into this this entity of being Naga, but the past rivalries, they are still there. Different groups are there, different factions are there. They all say that they are the most important ones, but only NSC and IM became a national issue because we signed an important agreement in 2015 with that. But now, after 4 years, these things are appearing that NSC and IM cannot be the sole representative of all the Naga groups. So that is why there was a different need that we settle this issue once and for all, because the 370 decision just came, and after that a lot of insecurities are there with these Naga groups. So in an event they showed separate Naga flags, and they were talking about the interpretation of the 2015 agreement, and they said that according to that agreement, if we interpret that, then we should be allowed separate constitution and separate flag. But that is not the right interpretation there. Today there are 7 of these factions under an umbrella organization, Naga National Political Groups, NNPG. But you see, this issue is very unique. They all are there with some conditions. They are taking part in the parleys, means these negotiations are going on, but these are not finalized. Indian government said that 31st October is the last date. So that could not be possible in this way. Why? Because it's a very complex issue. So good thing is that the talks are not broken. They are still going on, and in the future these things will be settled. But one thing is there. We have to go into the history, and we need to understand that the historical aspects, they remain the spoilers till date, and it's a complex issue. Some adjustments they also need to make there, because the struggle is very, very long. If we see the past there, then you see writer says that 70 years of struggle by Nagas is heroic. So is the identity formation among these linguistically disparate tribes. As I told you, they were fierce rivals. They used to kill each other. But now, after the independence of this country and after formation of this Naga club, as I told you, they accept that there is a Naga entity, but they are spread into various states. From Myanmar till Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, they are spread, especially Nagaland and Manipur. So various factions are there. So this 100-year-old identity and phenomena of being a Naga, that's accepted, but the different groups, their egos, their separate demands of recognitions, they are still there. So that's why sometimes some leaders come that which are accommodating, which are accepting, which are liberal, but when some of them are dead, then the other new leaders, they are very much conservative. So again they are bringing those differences to the surface. So that is why after this 2015 agreement, these issues are again reappearing, that we have to settle it in a different way. And NSC and IM, the Isaac Mohia group, that cannot be a sole representative of all the Nagas. But obviously no revolution can sustain on a 70-year-old slogan. Why? Because they have been very much conservative and similar demands they have till date. So they need to accommodate the time also. Means 70 years are past, and it's a different kind of world today. We have to make some arrangements, some political, administrative and developmental arrangements there. So they need to tone down there. They need some moderation in their conditions and talks. That's why the writer says that if history is the record of a given state building project and is blind to events which do not contribute this exercise and relies on memory and myths, as the Naga story often does, to reconstruct the past can be equally problematic. Means the past is always considered, but the memories are selective, and people will show different examples of the past according to their needs. So this way nobody can manage the situation. They both need to compromise there. And you see, writer talks about the decisive shifts there. Like even in the last 22 years of Naga peace negotiation, which started in 1997, radical shifts in perspective have been evident. And what are these shifts? Shifts are there why? Because NSC and Isaac Mohiwa have been the most important one, but others are also saying that we are also there. You cannot ignore us, as some are coming from Manipur and Myanmar region like the NSC and K, and some are there in Nagaland, some are also there in Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. So we need to accommodate all of them. Now government says that all the stakeholders will be consulted, like who are coming from Assam, who are coming from Arunachal Pradesh, who are coming from Manipur region, who are coming from Nagaland region. We want to discuss with all of them. And some groups even say that if a better deal is not signed, then the status quo should remain. Means whatever exclusiveness we have today, that should remain. But you see, some problems, they are there, and we are going through some politico-administrative changes, and all the problems of the past we are managing there. Like we took the decision of 370 article. So this Northeast region is also very unique, and many things are unsettled. So they have insecurities, and we have our own important plans there. So these issues should be settled for all. Okay, so that's why in 2015 it was a bilateral truce. One side there was Indian government, one side there was NSC and Isaac Mohiwa group, but now it has become a multilateral one, because the NSC and K and other important groups, they are also separately involved there. So what they talked about in the end of October, we do not know. Talks are in complete secrecy, and anxiety is still there, but in the future these issues will be settled in the best possible way. This is the assurance by government there. So many articles will come on that issue, and I have given you a overall picture of this situation, and this much only you will be asked there in the examination. So thanks a lot, keep watching. It was Amit Saini.